Girlfriends, it's that time. It's that time for another interview. So this is Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. And I'm excited to bring you our guest today out of Henrico County, Richmond, Virginia. Today is Alycia Wright. And it's going to be a great interview, and you all just wait and hold on to your seats, because this woman, I can tell she got a lot of life and got a lot of pizzazz, and she's just going to put it out there like this. So this is going to be a great interview. But let me let you know what this platform is. This is Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. This is a platform to give voice to those of the African diasporic homeschool community, to say hashtag we homeschool too, and we are getting it done. Our kids are thriving. We're making it happen. And, you know, actually the numbers for homeschooling and home educating amongst the African diasporic community is growing. And I'm like, yes, not just here in the country, but worldwide. So this platform, if you've seen it, this is season 2. And where in season 1, I completed over 13 interviews of people all over the world. And so I'm heading to Ghana next month for some more interviews, international interviews. Just excited at what's going on with this community. So for all of you who are joining in, be sure to hit the share button and get this out. You just never know who is considering homeschooling, need some encouragement, need to see a picture of what this looked like, get some insights, and they're going to get that right here on today. So just a little bit about me before we dive into our interview with Alycia. I am a homeschooling mom myself of 8 children now for 19 years, 3 of whom I've graduated out through homeschool, and 5 of whom I'm still homeschool. I'm still in the thick of it with everybody else, okay? And I got about 8 more years to go. I'm ready to retire. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm ready to retire. It's been a long time. But 19 years and 8 more years to go. And so my family and I, we make our homestead in the upstate part of South Carolina, where we are self-sustaining farmers, phasing out of farming because now we're going into vegan, vegetarian lifestyle. But and here in the state of South Carolina, I give families legal status to homeschool their children. So I'm an Option 3 Accountability Association director and owner. So if you're in the state of South Carolina and you want to homeschool, please let's connect and I can get you going there. Other than this platform, Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, I also have its sister podcast, which is called Girlfriend's Chat. And there we dive into a deeper topic based on the subject matter that we discuss with the interview and their interview, okay? Also, look for, Girlfriend's Chat is on all podcasts. You can find that available to you. And then also Educating Our Own. That's another platform that is growing and developing. You can connect with me on Facebook there. I have the Homeschool Upstart. Look for that. That's homeschool podcast and coaching videos, the homeschoolupstart.com. You can go there and find more about that. All right. So that's just a little bit about myself. But today is all about Alycia. So Alycia, are you?
Hi.
Hey there. Are you ready to make it happen?
Yes.
All right. Well, let me let you know about Alycia, girlfriend. So Alycia Wright, M.Ed. is what she has, is a former public educator turned homeschool mom of 6 years. She is a licensed teacher and tutor whose post-secondary focus was in special and gifted education. Also, she has a post-baccalaureate degree in education technology. As a result, she established Inspired Learning RVA, where among other services, she offers transcripts, assessments, and notice of intent offerings. In addition, Alycia runs a co-op for families of color in Henrico County called Cultural Roots. She currently home educates 3 daughters, and her oldest daughter, age 15, now attends a 4-year college, the Mary Baldwin PEG Program. So Alycia, I have told the girlfriends just a little bit about you. If there's more to share, please do. But tell us how you actually got started in your homeschooling journey.
Great. I was teaching public school, and I taught middle school, and I really loved teaching. And then my daughter became of age to finally start kindergarten. We moved to a neighborhood where they had top schools, so we didn't really have any concerns. The funny thing is, as the special ed department chair at my middle school. And a part of my job was to meet with the elementary schools and the high schools and prepare for children who are transitioning either into middle school or into high school. And so I had a really good relationship with the elementary school, or so I thought. We went to go look at the elementary school, and what was so funny was that the principal there didn't recognize or know who I was. And I've been meeting with this lady for years in various IEP meetings and transition meetings. And so what I found interesting is when we went to go, talk to her about my daughter, who had already, at 5, she had done some gifted testing at a local university because we knew that she, was or just had a lot of knowledge. And actually, not that she had a lot of knowledge, she acquired knowledge at a speed that was much faster than even me. To talk to them about some of their programs. Before I could even get there, the principal was talking to me about remediation programs and after school help and, free and reduced lunch and all of these things that I just thought, why are you, I didn't come in here to talk to you about this. I came to talk about, really just to check out the elementary school because I'd always been there in a professional environment, never as, a community member, although it's in my backyard, basically. Right. And so sort of after that, as we were leaving, it's so funny because a lot of the other teachers were walking in the hall and they said, "Oh, hey, Miss Wright, do we have a meeting today? Did we miss something?" And then you could see the principal click and recognize, remember who and then like put my face to all the meetings. And she apologized profusely, but that left such a poor taste in my mouth that I thought, there's no way I'm sending my kid to this school. The fact that she already had sort of all of these ideas about who we were and what we needed without listening to me. And so at that time, we decided to go private school. And then in a couple of years, we had 3 kids in a private Montessori school. And then I was expecting number 4. And my husband said, "You're going to be making negative dollars from your teaching salary by the time we put the 4th one in daycare. What else can we do?" And I said, let's try homeschooling them. Wow. And that's what we did. Okay. And that's really how that journey began.
Okay. And so just like that, you just stopped working. I'm going to homeschool. And that was it.
Yeah, because it didn't make sense financially for me to work. I mean, literally, I would have been working to pay, my salary would have gone to 3 private Montessori tuitions and 1 infant daycare. Gotcha. And so it just didn't make sense. So, and if I was going to stop working or stop teaching, then I might as well teach my own children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's the way I took it. And I said, all right, let's try this for a year. It can't hurt to try. And we never returned. Gotcha.
And this is my favorite question I'm about to ask you. And I love asking this question to those who have an education degree. So starting out in your homeschooling with your kiddos, do you feel like your education degree, your background and teaching other children helped you to have a better start in your home education with your own children, or was it a hindrance? Or tell us your take on that.
It's a combination of both, honestly. And I think you'll hear that from a lot of teachers, that I'm really good at quickly pulling things together because that's what you do as a teacher. Right. I'm really good at scouring resources, finding this. I had lots of tools, lots of curriculum, lots of just stuff that I already knew about. And, my part of your training as a teacher is how to build lesson plans. So that worked out really well. What it didn't prepare you for is that, what your classroom looks like is not what your house is going to look like. And so that's where the hindrance falls, because I think most teachers do. They come home and they say, okay, I've got this. I've got a, master's degree, whatever degree in education and teaching and development and child development. And then you just forget that when you homeschool, it's life. It's not a safe, structured place where a bell rings at a certain time and you can shift the kids around and you've got, state lesson plans every 6 weeks and you've got an assessment. I mean, it's just life. So, you have to learn to go with the flow pretty quickly. But I think the hindrance is that a lot of teachers feel like, oh, this is easy. I could just duplicate what I'm already doing. And you can't. At least the people that I know who've maintained their sanity have not been able to.
Right, right. So for you, Alycia, did you have to also go through a deschooling, even, while you had this education and this is what you've been doing for, as a career, did you have to go through the deschooling in order to effectively home educate your own children?
Um, I wouldn't say we de-school. Well, I mean, I think it's just sort of a journey. If I was deschooling, it's not what I called it at the time. It was more so, okay, this isn't working. What do we really want to do? And what I really love to do and what the kids really love to do is to learn and be out. So we spend a lot of time going out to museums. We're blessed that we have transportation. So we aren't, sometimes your access depends on your access.
Right.
So we're able to go out and do a lot of different things. And we found that to be much more enjoyable. And I knew that they would learn from that because, even when you're teaching in a classroom, you can get more out of a 4-hour field trip than you can, talking about the same thing for 2 weeks.
Right.
That the kids are going to remember the experience and what they saw and how they felt and what they did. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing for most human beings. You learn by doing, you learn by using all of your senses. You don't necessarily learn by worksheets and textbooks.
Yeah. So how was your first year when you first started, when you said, okay, here we go, I'm all in, here are my kids, baby on the way shortly after. How was that homeschooling?
I was probably a crazy person the first year. I'm pretty sure I looked that way, and I say that with no disregard to people with mental illness, seriously. But I immediately felt after those first couple of 2 or 3 months that I needed more adult connection. That's a really hard transition. My husband would come home from work and I would be ready to spill everything, and he'd be like, whoa. But I was around children all day, and I'd been used to being around adults some. And so I spent a lot of time our first year, what I call dating co-ops and dating homeschool groups, and really searching and trying to find a tribe, because I recognized early on that I needed a community of some sort to really make this work. But in the house, it was, I tell people the first year is like a trial year. It's kind of like the first year of teaching. I tell people, don't quit. Just hold in there. By your third year, you'll have a groove going. And it's the same thing for homeschooling. I find anyway that your first year can be rough. Your second year is a little bit better. By your third year, you're like, okay, I've got a grasp now. The kids have sort of are falling into understanding what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, so true. And so anybody listen to that, hear that encouragement. Our first year is just we don't know what we're doing. It's just like even going on a new job. You trial and error, you're going to get it. Doing it, keep shifting, keep changing, keep finding out what works for you. And the terminology I used was that de-schooling, getting out of your brain what you think school is supposed to look like, and then creating what it really needs to look like for your family, for your real life, right? And so we all have to do that. So you all be encouraged. That's what you got to do. It's just going to take some time. And so give yourself some grace. But take us to your worst day of homeschooling, Alycia. It was so bad. You thought, what the heck am I doing? And you considered maybe putting them back in school and going back and working yourself. What am I doing? Take us to that day that almost broke you, but it didn't. And that's why you're this awesome homeschooling mom you are today, 6 years later.
Probably some of the hardest times for me is if I'm not feeling well. I can't send them anywhere. It's not so much the children. When I found that if we have bad days, it's because I didn't do the preparation work, honestly. And so you learn really quickly that either you prepare to do the work or you prepare to fail. So you've got to put a little effort in it. It doesn't just come naturally. And I knew this from my training as a teacher, but sometimes life happens and you spend all day dealing with grandma, getting her to appointments. You don't have time to check the math work. You just take it as it comes. But probably my worst day, honestly, would be, I remember when I had 4 wisdom teeth pulled out. I was dealing with some autoimmune stuff. I mean, I was just not feeling great. My husband couldn't take off and the kids were home. And I remember thinking, if I could just send them to school for about a month so I can just take care of myself, because they weren't doing a whole lot. I mean, because I was sick. They were doing lots of, documentaries. I would try to, check things while I'm, in bed. And because of my, I had the 4 teeth taken out, then they got infected, and it was just a long journey. But those are probably that was probably like the worst time, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving myself some grace because I knew I wasn't, well. And then if mama's not well,
right.
there's just a downward spiral. Because children are going to behave like children if there's no real supervision or if you can't oversee things.
Right.
And that's what you.
I mean, that's true. Absolutely true. All right. So take us to your most proudest moment in your homeschooling journey. That was just amazing. And you thought, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right here. This moment right here is why we're doing what we're doing. Take us to that moment, Alycia.
I've had a couple of moments where I've been really proud. Usually my proudest moments are when I see my children out in the community and they're being someone saying how well they're doing or how impressed they are by something. And it's really a lot of times about like kindness. My daughter did a camp with a bunch of children, school, everyone else were public school kids. And then the counselors came over and they said, your daughter's just so awesome. We have, a few students who have autism. She was very patient with them. She took their time with them. She played with them. She just interacted, like in a sincere, empathetic, like manner with them. Yeah. Not like treating them as less than, but, and I think it was because, we interact with so many types of children just out in the community and within our spaces that it's not, she didn't have a lot of those negative influences and pressures that other kids may have had to make fun of a kid or to not really appreciate the differences and what they had to offer. So those are usually my proudest moments when someone compliments me on something with the children. I know it's a result of how we are raising them in the home environment. Recently, my daughter, she did go off to high school. She wanted to try it. And we pulled her, when we decided homeschooling, she was in about 4th grade. And so we pulled her out. And so then she homeschooled through middle school. And then she decided, my oldest, to go to high school. And then even high school wasn't really what she wanted. And she applied to the school, Mary Baldwin University, and they accepted her at 15. So now she's about 3 weeks into college and she's doing well. But, wow. I know a lot of that came from her being able to work at her own pace and be herself and not have sort of those pressures around about expectations of what Black kids are supposed to be doing or not supposed to be doing, and who we're supposed to be and not supposed to be, nor did she have expectations from, say that principal who immediately came with us with remediation support. Right. So, I was really proud of that. And I'm proud of my other daughters as well. I have 4 daughters. And they're all doing great. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. So one of the things that's unique, and this is not a normal question I ask, but it's unique to you because your background is in special education. What can you give voice to, in regards to special education and homeschooling kids? Do you think this is a benefit? Do you think it's a hindrance because they can get more services that they need, from public school? What is your take, and what more can you give to this community? Because a lot of people, being in the state of South Carolina, as I mentioned, I give families legal status to homeschool. And so I have a lot of families who simply homeschool because their children have special needs and they want to do something different than what they're getting from public school. What is your take? What do you see? What is the voice that you can give to a homeschooling mom with children with special ed, or they're maybe considering homeschooling?
Yeah. Well, what I will say is working with children in the public education, the school that I worked at was a fairly affluent school. And so the families who I knew had parents at home. I would sometimes whisper, have you ever thought about, this is before I even started homeschooling, because I knew, and a lot of teachers will tell you, if you are sort of either ends of this spectrum, traditional school is not created for you.
Right. It's
really created for sort of a medium, right? But anyone who's sort of here or anyone who's sort of here, if you're able to homeschool, I definitely recommend it, or find a school that sort of specializes in whatever it is you need. I recommend it. My background in special ed was around specific learning disabilities, but I focused a lot on reading disabilities.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of great work that can be done at home, but I do think that it does take some preparation from parents to either find someone who's been training certain methods to work with students with, severe forms of dyslexia, because there is very systemic phonemic awareness training that needs to sort of happen, or to try to undergo some of this training themselves so that they can teach their children. I definitely think it's doable.
Good.
And I would highly recommend it. I would just, not be afraid to go out and find supports, find other groups of homeschoolers that have children with similar needs as yours, and, pull together resources. Okay, I can't afford this, Orton Gillingham tutor that's, $100 an hour, but maybe they'll work with us and we can split it, because you might need Orton Gillingham, reading training for your child. That really is my take on it. I do see sometimes, and I don't mean to criticize homeschool families at all, but I have seen people pull their children without really doing some of that research. And not that you can't do the research later, but really focusing on, figuring out what are the research-based methods for my child's specific learning disability. What can I do to sort of help them along? Because I think that's a really important piece. If you're going to take over that whole education yourself, it's a really important piece to figure out, or to do the work to say, all right, this doesn't work. What are the learning styles that do work? How can I really focus on creating lessons or experiences that really pull to those strengths?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are good points. And if you do have any resources or anything that you can share, or I'll put it in the show notes, that families with children with special needs that maybe they can connect to if they're homeschooling, that would be great too. I don't know if you know anything or resources online or books or how-tos or whatever. If you do, I'd love to get those from you, and I'll put them in the show notes.
Okay.
People can glean from them. So this is the point of the show where we transition and I pick your brain. So these are questions where you can give short answers to them. Girlfriends, I'm sure it has been very informative, insightful so far. I hope it's been encouraging. So be sure to hit the share button. If you're seeing this for the first time, girlfriends, guys, this is your first time ever seeing a video, please put a 1 in the comment below. And if you are seeing this on a replay, or this is what you do, you watch these interviews, be sure to hit a 2 so I can just hit some interaction from you. So 1, first time, 2, you see these all the time. So thank you for joining in. Hit the share button. You just never know who may be considering homeschooling and they need to know about what it looks like, and just some other people who look like them who are doing it and making it happen. Okay. All right. So quick question to pick your brain, Alycia. What is your favorite quote that you use during this homeschooling journey that has kept you on the straight and narrow, focused, head down to the grind, and getting it done?
Oh, wow. I say to myself a lot of times just in life, do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. And that's sort of my philosophy sometimes when I have hard things that I don't really want to do. But I know I need to do them in order to get to whatever it is. It can be even with the children. Okay, do what you have to do, your schoolwork, so you can do what you want to do, go out and play.
Right. Right.
And it can apply to so many things. So that's sort of my motto with a lot of things.
Good deal. Do you plan to homeschool all your children through the end? Or, maybe it's a little different. Your daughter decided to go to a different route, but what is your end goal?
I at least plan to do it through middle school. I would like to give them all the option to whether or not they want to attempt a high school. I would love for my children to be homeschooled all the way through to the end, but having one that sort of went that path, and when she and I talk now, she talks about how she felt like she really needed a year of public school, although I'm always thinking, did you really? Because she says she learned more from our homeschool co-op than she did at high school. But I think what she learned were sort of the street smarts, the social things that I knew, and probably you knew as a kid. I grew up in the city. I knew a lot of things that she really just didn't know. And it really was probably us just just sort of the protection that she had being with us the majority of the time. And then, as you homeschool, you really can sort of pick a lot of things for your children. You sort of control their social group because, either you're driving to this group or you're not, at least until they become older. And as they get older, you have a little less say-so over that. So,
yeah,
I told the children, we have a lot of what we call specialty schools here. My main goal is to get all of my girls, I say to them quite a bit, know who you are and whose you are.
mm-hmm.
And really, once I know that they are true to that, they know who they are and whose they are in this world, I don't worry about it, because I know that we're teaching them what our values are, and I'm giving them the academic piece to be successful. So I'm going to let them have the choice.
That's very good. And I'm telling you what, after 19 years of homeschooling myself and 8 children, that little bug is always there. Are they missing the not socialization, but the street smarts? I don't know a better word, but the street smarts they need to know, and how to maneuver through life and dealing with people and kind of stuff. And if anything, I would say in homeschooling, you tell me if you agree, that is like the little thing that they're missing.
It is.
Because you're right, we get to choose their social groups for the most part, and they're not exposed to a bunch of the stuff, and the street smarts they need to know, and how to deal with, like, I have 4 girls, 4 boys, how to deal with the male gender or the female gender, and the games that can be played, or just this, I'm true to a friend to you right here, but I might talk behind your back. So they're not familiar with that kind of stuff for the most part.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, her first year in high school was full of, girl drama that she had never had to navigate before. But, as a woman, a Black woman, that that's coming.
Right.
And she needs to learn how to start to deal with that. And you don't necessarily want to wait until, you want them to sort of start to deal with a little bit of that. You don't want to, hurt them or allow them to be hurt. But they are some lessons that you sort of learn naturally in life. And I think sometimes when you're homeschooled, or at least sometimes, we can sort of avoid some of those. I'll tell you another one. She was riding the bus home, and a boy had something on the backpack, and she came home and said he had drugs. And so, I'm all ready to go and potentially get this kid expelled. Like, I'm thinking it's 2019. I'm thinking it's drugs. But, we're going through pictures, and it was a Black and Mild cigarette. Okay. I don't know if you know what that is or not. But, oh, okay. It's just like a brown cigarette, but it's like but I'm thinking, I'm about to get this kid expelled over a cigarette, and it wasn't drugs, but she had never seen anything or been exposed to anything. Right. So, it's simple things like, I'm thinking, goodness, you don't know what this is? Like,
so true. Yeah, in all honesty, those are the kind of things we want to keep our kids from being exposed to. But on the other hand, it's almost like they need to know what a Black and brown cigarette looks like versus, crack cocaine or something like that. They need to know. And so I tell you, we haven't figured it out. Okay, if somebody want to write a book on that, please let figure it out. But all right, so what is something that's unique to your homeschooling that the Wright family do that probably other homeschoolers don't do?
I don't know if we do anything that other people don't do. I started a co-op last year that meets on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we do that, and I think that's been quite an adventure. But there's several families that have joined us, and I was amazed at the need to connect, and that's probably something that a lot of folks, wherever you are, sometimes it's hard to find melanated homeschool children in spaces. I know for me, we were in a lot of spaces that were not, as I was just trying to find, like, where are the Black folks or, brown folks. I'm just looking for something. So we just started our own, and it was amazing that once you said, we're creating this group, how many people then sort of flocked and said, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this too. So that's really wonderful.
Beautiful. What are some resources or curriculum you feel that every homeschooling family of the African diaspora should have in their library?
I don't know. We have been using, or at least we have access to, the Kamali curriculum, which has lots of good pieces that we pull from and take from. We have, the Classical Africa by Dr. Molefe. We have some books from another sister who's a professor of African Studies, and it's escaping me right now, but I will get it to you for the resources.
Okay.
I would say, honestly, just try to find if there's a cultural arts center or a community center or some gathering where people are, and really network and find out what's within your community that you can tap into. I find that, we have a Black History Museum. We're there quite a bit. We have a science museum. Now, that's not necessarily, racial, tied to any one way or the other, but we use that, and then we go home and we try to find additional resources that we can tie it to specific culture. But I find just sort of the people, really, your community is really the biggest resource.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Try to reach out and find others who want the same things that you want, that want to bring the same influences to your life, and then get together and see how you can do it.
Got it. Sounds good. And what is the best piece of advice that you've received that has kept you on track in this homeschooling journey that you often find yourself sharing with others who are also getting started in their homeschooling journey?
Just be true to yourself. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. Listen to what you need. Trust your guts. A lot of times when you meet people who are homeschoolers, I feel like you pick up people feel energies, and a lot of times, and just trust yourself. If you need to go off and take care of a sick parent, or clean the house that day, or take care of yourself or take care of the children, then take the time, allow yourself the time, allow yourself grace, allow your children grace. That's a big one, because they have bad days too. And then just pick back up the next day. It's not a race. If you don't finish that math book by the end of May or June 1st, it's okay. You can do it over summer. You can put it down and come back to it in August. It'll still be there. It's not a big deal.
Yes, I love that. And Alycia, I think, girlfriends, I hope if you walk away with this little nugget that she said, that's a huge nugget. Basically, to me, just relax and chill. Yeah. Relax and chill. Trust yourself, and it's not a race. Just chill and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a simple, beautiful nugget to homeschooling that we get to enjoy. All right, Alycia, here we are on the last question, the $1 million question. Are you ready?
I don't know. What is it? Yes.
All right. So, Alycia, if you had to start all over again to day one, but you have your current wisdom, knowledge, experiences, convictions about homeschooling, what would be the first thing you would be sure to implement this time around, or be sure to not do, take away, forget on this new homeschooling journey this time around?
It goes back to my last bit of advice. I would not have wasted as much energy trying to insert myself and my children into spaces that my gut told me were not for me. Just because it was the only option that I thought was there. I would not have purchased, thousands of dollars, it feels like, of curriculum and books. Because you don't know when you start out. And I'm a teacher, so when I left teaching middle school, I brought all my stuff with me, and then I bought more stuff. I literally became like a hoarder of curriculum, of stuff that I don't even use, because when you're starting out, you're like, somebody says this is good, and you're like, okay, let me get that. Oh,
Yep.
this is good. Oh, wait, already got that. Let me get this too then. And then you just have all this stuff that you don't use. And then you say you'll use it for the next child. You never use it for the next child. It just sits. So just trust yourself. You know, choose one thing, two things, try it. Doesn't work, it's okay. Yeah, trust yourself.
Good deal.
That's what I would do. I would trust myself a little bit more than I did. And that
Yeah.
was as an educator.
Beautiful. Listen, coming from the mouth of the educator, so that's huge right there. Trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself, and go and follow your gut. Absolutely. Well, Alycia, any last words you want to share and give to the girlfriends? And then also let us know what you have your hands involved in that you would like the community to know, so that we can come around and support your efforts and what you're into.
Yeah, so we're going to be trying to put together, myself and a couple of other mothers here in Richmond, and it's Henrico County. It's all good. People say Henrico. But here in Richmond is going to be called Homeschooling in Color RVA conference. And right now we're looking at October, mid-October. I don't want to say the exact date because we're still waiting on a confirmation of the room, but by the time this airs, hopefully I'll have it and you guys will have it then too. So we're going to try to come together. You know, for years I've been wanting to go to that Liberated Minds. I have not made it. A few of us said, you know what, we're just going to try to build something here. We've got a few, you know, co-ops of color here. We can come together and try to put together something for the East Coast, right? Virginia, Maryland, DC, we need it.
Yeah.
We need it. And then we still going to come down to Georgia.
Yes, yeah.
For that one.
I've been trying to get down to her, to Liberated Minds for a couple of years now. It has not happened. She will be on this show, and I think it's next month. She actually going to be on this show, and I'm very excited about that. So, but you know what? The more the merrier. The more resources we have to encourage more to homeschool, whether it's Liberated Minds, whether it's homeschooling in color, whatever, we need to be multiplied all over this joint. This country.
Yes.
One corner to the next.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And that way, when we need support, we'll have somebody local or at least regional, you know, that we can go to and say, okay, what's going on? Who do we know? Who's the sister or brother here in this state or that state that's doing this and that? And you can build those villages and not have to go and feel the need to try to join other villages that maybe don't necessarily cater to what you're looking for.
Yes. Just build
our own villages.
Create the own village.
That's right. Create the village.
There we go. And girlfriends, listen, you are the average sum of the 5 people you hang around with. And this hour, you've been hanging with Alycia Wright out of Richmond, Virginia. Henrico, I don't know. I'm still not going to say it right. Henrico County. She is in the neck of the woods, but my people, my brother's out there too. And she actually knows my brother and sister. How exciting is that? But hey, listen, you all continue on that movement towards positivity. Connect with more people who are making a positive impact in the homeschooling community. And then you be that positive influence that others can draw from, okay? We are building a village. We're not competing villages. That's what we don't need to do. We don't need to be competing villages. We need to be building a village of community where, you know, we are supporting one another. So I'm excited to hear all that you're doing, Alycia. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey, your insights, your encouragement to this community, to the African diasporic homeschooling community. Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling appreciates you and are grateful to you for all that you're doing and sharing today. So thank you so very much, Alycia. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, girlfriends, listen, as always, I end with this. Just remember that to teach a child is to change. To teach a child is to touch a life. And as we homeschool, we not only touch a life, we shape the future through our efforts of homeschooling. So keep making a positive impact day after day, year after year. Be true to yourself, like Alycia said. Trust your gut. Trust your gut and be true to yourself and just make homeschooling what you know you can make it to be and what you need it to be for your kids and for your family. Okay, you all can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Just stay focused. All right, so thank you. Peace. All the information about Alycia will be in the show notes, how to get connected with Homeschooling in Color. I'm very excited about that. You don't know, I had a group here that I started in South Carolina called Homeschooling in Color. I went searching here, there, and yes, here, there, yonder, all over the place, looking for people of color who I could connect my kids with to homeschool. And it started with my 5-year-old at the time. We were here in South Carolina. She was 5. This is how sad this story is. We were in IHOP, and a group of Black people came in to IHOP to eat. And she looked with her mouth wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen any other Black people other than our little family. And she asked us, "Mommy, are they related to us?" And it had not hit, it did not hit me. I didn't realize that this little girl, all our violin people we hung with was no one looked like her. Gymnastics, no one looked like her. The co-op, no one looked like her. The church we were going to, no one looked like her. No one looked like her. And we would just assimilate our community. It's honestly where I was at, years ago. And I said, you know what, this is crazy. And I just searched high and low all over the state of South Carolina for people who look like us who are homeschooling. And then I formed Homeschooling in Color. And so, and that's what we did, get together. Yeah, so our kids could see each other. So I'm excited. Homeschooling in Color Convention, our conference is coming to you in Richmond next month. So that information will be in the show notes. So thank you everyone for joining. Hit the share button and get this out. And until next time, peace and love to all of you. Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling. Take care. Bye, Alycia. Thank you.
Bye.